What's going on, everyone? So Victor goes down to the tunnels with Henry, right, to retrieve Jasper. And there, the monsters essentially have him dead to rights, right? Or at least Henry, because Henry's completely oblivious. He doesn't really know. And Henry, he probably would get eaten, right? Victor, maybe he escapes because he's familiar, but who knows where the rest of the monsters are, right? There's two monsters there, and one of them relays that, hey, if you keep coming down here, we might make you stay. But I made a video talking about how Victor seems to be untouchable, right? I mean, think about it. He was a child before the talismans that lived for 30, 40 years and was never touched. Became best friends with the boy in white, right? Like, the grown adults can't survive for long periods of time. And I mean, even Kenny in the recent episode talked about how, before the talismans, pretty much everybody is dead, right? Like, they didn't last very long here. Yet Victor was able to survive basically his entire life there. Like, it's a little odd, unless it makes sense that he was untouchable, that the boy in white even maybe kind of just said, like, hey, this is my friend now, right? You cannot touch him. Also, Victor had nobody for who knows how long. I mean, every time somebody dies, we get a replacement, right? Colony House gets attacked, entire busload of people show up, right? Like, recently, right? You had Nikki and Dale die, and you get Officer Acosta and Henry back, right? Like, you keep seeing these trends, these patterns, and even we've gotten information from, like, Randall, for example, where Randall talks about how, like, nothing changes. Everything's the same. Everything's very precise. Everything's very specific. And, I mean, again, even Victor relayed that nothing ever changes here, that it's never snowed, right? Like, everything is very specific. And yet, everything changed for Victor. Why? Why would it all change for Victor? And now you have Victor, who witnessed a story when he was younger from Jasper, and Victor is trying to get that doll to relay a story once again, or the story once again. And I keep thinking and wrapping my head around, what could that story be, right? What story would be so impactful? What story would be so significant that it would send shockwaves through Fromville? Like, that it would change kind of the course of Fromville? Well, one, it could be like the inception, right? Like the idea of, just how did this place start? How did the monsters come to be, right? Like, kind of give you the history and the backstory, maybe explain why certain people are chosen to be in this place, right? Like, maybe you get some information on just kind of the history of Fromville. The other thing that keeps popping to mind is, what if instead of Victor being untouchable because he's the friend of the boy in white or anything like that, and I've briefly mentioned this idea numerous times, but it really is dwelling on me, and that is, like, what if Victor is just evil, right? What if Victor is the cause of everything? Now, obviously, we've all talked and had our theories on maybe this place was created by Victor, maybe it's all in Victor's head, right? We've all had kind of different things. I don't necessarily mean that. What I want to talk about specifically here is, what if the evil that became was Victor? We've seen time and time again characters get transformed, kind of manipulated, eventually snap and go dark side. And Victor doesn't remember anything from his childhood, right? He has to keep being reminded. He has to keep remembering. Did he just really black out all of the past 30, 40 years? Or did Fromville do it because they don't want people to know that he's evil, or that there's maybe a grander purpose, right? Or there's something that Victor has a reason, or maybe as a child he was kind of like the mole that, I see so many people are like, oh, what if this person's a mole, or that person's a mole, or whatever, right? Like, what if Victor is really the bad guy, right? Like, maybe even one of the original bads, right? Because, like, Christopher, for example, we were led to believe through Victor that Christopher killed everybody, right? And then it's later revealed in the flashback that he might not have been the one to actually kill everybody, right? Like, you see all of the monsters, or sorry, all of the people appear to have been attacked and eaten by the monsters, right? They're all open and looking like they do when you get attacked by the monsters. Yet Victor was just chilling. Victor was untouched. It's a little odd, right? Well, okay, what happened to Christopher? Did Christopher get eaten by monsters too? Did he die? Did he become the monster? Was he the first monster? Right? Like, is he still alive out there somewhere? Right? Like, what's the deal with Christopher? Well, what if it was? What if it was all Victor? Right? What if Victor, whether directly or indirectly, right? What if he was the one that caused and created the massacre? Right? Maybe it's not even like evil in the sense of, like the monster, right? Like, Victor's just had this master plan to take everybody out because he was a little kid, right? What if it was through manipulation, right? Sarah was willing to take out Ethan, right? Like, what if it was something like that? You're talking about Victor, who was a child. He was literally a child. You don't think Fromville wouldn't have been able to easily manipulate him? You don't think, Fromville might not have been able to corrupt him a little bit? Right? Like, it would make sense. So, and then he forgets everything either through his own device or maybe this place allows him to forget. And, or maybe the boy in white helped him remove. Because also, like, you look at Victor saving all the mementos, all the little souvenirs, right? Well, we've seen people kill, things kill, and save a little souvenir, right? Keep Sarah, for example. Also, plenty of serial killers throughout history like to save little mementos, like to save little things, right? Instead of burying all the bodies, what did he do? He saved all the little trinkets. What if Jasper relays to Victor that, hey, you were evil? No, they didn't die because of Christopher. They died because of you. You did it. You caused it. And Victor ends up getting some shocking revelation, right? Like, obviously, we all have our suspicions on Victor being evil. Obviously, we all have our thoughts on him, on this place being because of him. But it's just, again, it's like, what can Jasper relay that would be so groundbreaking? Well, one of the things, don't get me wrong, there's like a dozen things, but one of the things that I keep thinking over and over and over again is that what if Jasper reveals to Victor that, like, hey, you're not who you think you are, buddy. You think you're this innocent, kind of weird, awkward guy. Right? Like, why do you think you were alone for so long? Maybe he wasn't. Maybe every time new people came, he killed them. Maybe that's why Fromville erased his mind. Right? Because it was like, well, we still, want things to be business as usual. But every time, we got 5 new people today and they were dead an hour later because of Victor, right? Like, and he's just this like crazy serial. And talk about a way to get by unnoticed, right? Like, if new people come to Fromville and they see this little kid that's just like, innocent and whatnot, like, the last thing they're going to be thinking is that, like, oh, he's going to kill them or take them out or whatever, feed them to monsters or something, right? What if he was telling the monsters, hey, this is where they're hiding, this is where that. It makes sense that, the boy in white or Fromville would just be like, all right, like, you're kind of messing up our gig here. We loved what you were doing in the beginning, but now you're starting to mess with the business a little bit here, right? Like, it was a fun little gimmick, but now you're kind of getting in the way. I don't know. I get either Victor is just completely untouchable, which again I talked about. I don't want to dive into that too much because I did an entire long video breaking down all of that. But either he's untouchable or he's part of it, right? Whether it's directly or indirectly, right? Whether it's like, he knew back in the day and, or it's from his mind or whatever, or he didn't know and he was manipulated by the plays. It's kind of how I feel. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, it's got to be something. It's got to be something pertaining to Victor. Victor isn't who he thinks he is. I mean, again, obviously, all of us have thought, there's something up with Victor, right? And I just keep defaulting to, every time I feel like we're getting somewhere with Victor, I'm waiting for that evil shoe to drop, so to speak, right? It's kind of what I'm waiting for. And again, maybe it's just me overanalyzing things. Maybe it's me just kind of thinking of it. But that's the fun, right? It's what it's all about. Good conversations, good theories, good ideas. Just diving into it. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.